Hi, welcome back to another episode in my kitchen, another rustic, home-style, unpretentious video coming straight at you. So, I'm mimicking Egyptian FUL today. There are so many different FUL, or that's the Arabic name for, or Egyptian name for fava beans, which are broad beans here in the UK. I'm going to start off with about 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And next I have 2 medium onions grated. Now if you've never grated an onion, you haven't lived. And what's great about this recipe, something a little bit different, but I'm focusing on a lot of healthy recipes recently. It's time to get in shape for the summer, and millions of people at this for breakfast this morning, all over the Middle East, Egypt, the Horn of Africa. So it's a very popular breakfast dish, it's very cheap to make, and it's very filling. And people say in Egypt it's like the only food a working man can eat and still be full all day without buying more expensive meals such as meat. So we're just going to sweat those onions down on a medium heat. We'll come back shortly. We might add a little bit more olive oil. We'll see how we go. So this is going to take, I would say, 7 to 10 minutes. You don't want anything to burn on the edges, so stir it back in. We want a combination of sweating and reducing and a little bit of caramelisation. And let me just have a look, take a look over to the north here. We've got some fresh, well, dried fava beans or broad beans that I've soaked overnight, and I'm boiling them down now. And I'm using a slight dark variety of beans. You might see different, some broad beans are green, some are brown, but these are pretty kidney bean like in colour. And the recipe calls for, let me just show you, the recipe calls for, well, this recipe I'm making does, 3 cloves of garlic roasted. Just stick them there, fine. But you notice they're still with the number of layers of skin on them, so they're going to get a nice smoky charred taste, and they're going to roast really nice. You don't want to turn your oven on for half an hour to roast some garlic. This is how people have been doing it for thousands of years, and it's a tried and tested method. So we'll come back when those onions are sweated off and that garlic's done. Do check the garlic, make sure it's not on fire. But you can see that's perfectly safe, isn't it? So I recommend you do that at home, as long as you've got a gas cooker. So I have 300 grams of fava beans, and why I'm mentioning that is because it's time to add the salt. I'm using either a level teaspoon of salt or half a teaspoon. Salt's always to taste, and now I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of cumin powder. This gives it its signature taste. I'd always use fresh pepper. I feel sorry for anybody who I visit their kitchen, no offence, and I go there and I see ground pepper in a jar, because it's probably been ground 6 months ago, 2 years ago, who knows. It's always blend your own black pepper. Just going to give that a good stir. So those spices have absorbed a lot of the olive oil. I did add a little bit of olive oil here and there. I'm not worried about how much olive oil I use. A lot of it evaporates off, and I'm just using a little bit of the water from the fava beans to soak this up. I don't know whether you can see here. We'll come back in a moment. So that ensures nothing burns, because obviously the spices are more delicate than the onions. So let's have a look at our garlic. I'm not going to do this on camera because it's pretty hot. I've got to do it with a fork. But I'm going to be getting those, they're perfect. Look at the skins have just popped. That's been probably about 3-4 minutes. So look how soft that garlic is. Nicely charred. So there's our garlic. All I do, flat end of a knife, bang, bang, bang. You can pick out the skin so easily. Yeah, de-skinned, easy as that. And I'm just going to chop it up. Yes, with the little bits of character, I call it. Chop that up coarsely, but so small enough to disperse throughout the dish. We'll come back. Next, we're adding that garlic back. If you see any little bits you don't want, they won't chop up, so they're easy to take out. A couple of seconds. Just going to give that a good stir. So next, we've got our fava beans, broad beans here that have been steamed away. They're perfectly soft, and we're just going to add them to the dish. Well, the frying pan. And my take on this, I'm adding some parsley to the dish. A lot of people just use it exclusively for the garnish. And I'm going to add some water there just to make sure everything's bound and mixed up nicely. So I used about 1.5 cups of water. Everything's already cooked. And some people like it more mashed, some people like it more, as you can see here, doesn't really matter. So this is a really healthy dish that will keep you full for a long time. Maybe that's why they call it full. So lots of different pronunciations and spellings for this dish, but obviously, essentially, it's going to be written in the country of origin, either in Israeli, Arabic, Egyptian, Somali, Eritrean, Djibouti, Sudan, whatever. So I'm going to stir that on this heat now. Can you see that the particles are coming off some of the fava beans, and they're creating this really nice sauce? So stir it until you've got the desired consistency and it's well heated. So that's the consistency I want, and it's nice and hot, so we'll get ready to serve. So I wouldn't call this a bland dish by any way, but it does need brightening up a little bit, doesn't it? So what I've done, I've got some extra virgin olive oil and some chili powder, and I've just given that a mix, just to make sure it's even. Put a little bit of that on top. Next, we're going to add half an egg. Going to add some tomatoes. A couple of pieces of onion. A little bit of parsley on top. And very importantly, to finish off, some lemon, nice generous bit just on the top. Some people put more olive oil on, you know, the Syrians in Lebanon, Beirut, they'll put tahini on the top. There are so many variations of this dish. So I hope you've enjoyed the recipe, and you can see how nice it is, and do cook it yourself. Thank you very much for watching.